You for taking the time to interview with me. You've been a great supporter of the new project. And when I first found you, it was funny. Me and my girlfriend put on a song by you in the car, and we ended up going home and listening to your entire discography that night while we cooked dinner and ate. So we love your music and can't wait to catch a show. So thank you for being a supporter right out of the gate. And everybody who supports right off the beginning is going to be a friend of the platform for years to come. So I'm stoked to have you on board.
Yes, thanks, Jimmy. I'm so stoked. It's not like very often that I get someone messaging me like after I sign up for something. Like sometimes I just don't really expect to hear anything at all. So I was really happy when I got your message that not only you like were happy to have me there, but you were listening to my music too.
Uh, so we are Rocky Mountain Live, and you were born and raised in Cranbrook, BC. So tell us about how the Rocky Mountains have shaped you as both a person and a performer.
Yes, I love it here. I'm so grateful to have been born here and growing up here was like such a privilege. And it really shaped me to be a very authentic individual. I feel like this upbringing growing up here in a place that is so special, gives me like an interesting angle to my story. And I find like meeting other people, my story is unlike anyone else's. That's the cool thing about artists and meeting people that are musicians. But sometimes I say like, oh, I could have been born in Vancouver or Toronto or New York, and then maybe it would have been easier for me to do music full time or to like really take off, but I don't know if that's true or not. And this is my story, and this is what it was supposed to be. I grew up playing music around campfires, like my in the woods, my family camping. My family are also very musical, but in like a super grassroots, organic kind of way. So my aunts and my dads are amazing singers and players. My dad taught me how to play guitar, and they taught me how to sing. It was kind of like the blood harmony thing. So my sister also sings, and there's something really special about that. So I developed a sense for music at a really young age, like singing along, campfire sing-alongs and stuff. But like no one knew anything about the music industry, like nothing. And my aunts like are such amazing singers, but no one knew anything about the music industry. And like it's kind of it's kind of a scary place to just throw yourself into, especially like in the 80s or something, when they were my age. So it's really cool because now I've taken that and I'm doing it. And everyone in my family has always like had a dream of wanting to do it, but not really knowing how. But growing up that way and like singing in the mountains and stuff and with my family, it just kind of all I knew was like music and nature and family and love. And that's really cool. And that's definitely shaped my music a lot.
Right on, that's awesome. So you spoke about your family there, obviously having a big inspiration on your musical career. But what about some of the local musicians, venues, and businesses that have had the biggest impact on your career growth around the Rockies?
Yes, for sure. The main thing, like growing up here, I went through this amazing music program at Mount Baker Secondary School. So without that program, like I would not be the musician I am today at all. And Evan Buchert is the teacher there, and he was just an amazing mentor for me throughout high school. Like I did choir and vocal jazz, and I got to go to Prague and Vienna and sing in cathedrals with band. And that was all like so shaping of me just like learning about music and how to make music and playing with other people. And then when I graduated, I actually pretty soon after graduation moved to Ireland and decided to live in Dublin for a few years. And that was just like a total random thing that I did. And then COVID actually hit. I was there like 2016 to the tail end of 2019. And then everything kind of started happening with COVID. And so I moved home and dove into music full time and was supported by so many people here, like mostly like my fans and just like friends and people that I knew from doing music when I was young. There's a venue here called the Stage Door, and they run this series called Locals, and they put me up when I was young in the locals scene. And then when I came back, I just started doing it. But Cranbrook is quite small, and I kind of had to just figure things out for myself. There wasn't really many musicians that were doing it full time when I was just starting in, let alone any like female musicians. There was like few older people that I have connected with who have been really helpful. Um, but Cranbrook is definitely a really small music scene, and I just started expanding into all of the Kootenays. So I reached out to musicians like Denise Marie and Anna Katerina with Rumor Mill, and like other musicians that I was meeting in the Kootenays, Sarah Orton and Paris Pick. There's like a lot of musicians out in the Kootenays, Moon Tricks, those guys as well, who I sort of connected with. And all across the Kootenays, I'll continue to meet with these artists. But a venue that I would also really like to mention as somewhere that has really supported me since the very beginning is Key City Theater in Cranbrook. And Galen, the director there, is just a great person and has fantastic ideas about brightening the community here. Specifically in Cranbrook, we don't have a very young community for artists. And speaking honestly on that topic, I want to be a pioneer to bring more young artists out, and just more young people in general coming out in Cranbrook, because that was something that I definitely lacked, was a community of young artists, specifically here in Cranbrook and Kimberley as well. When I was like 20, 21, 22, kind of like early days of doing music. But now things are starting to take off, and I like to think that I'm a huge part of that. So Key City Theater, Stage Door, Center 64 in Kimberley as well. And then there's like some other musicians here that have really helped me out locally. John Bissett is a great musician. Julian Buchert is also Evan Buchert's son, and we're making an album together. And he's in the band Half Spent, which is another local band that I've been working with. And they all deserve, honorable shout outs. But I do a lot of things like outside of the Kootenays as well, because I've had to blossom in that way. But, we never forget like where it all started. And this is where it all started. But it's been a lot of me doing a lot of my own stuff, like a lot of stuff on my own for sure.
So yeah, you just spoke a lot on your upcoming into the industry and how you decided to take on full-time music. And 2024 was a big year for you. So tell us a bit about what happened.
Yes, thanks for asking. 2024 was awesome. And like, I find the reason that I'm gaining so much success is because I literally just refuse to go away. Like, I just keep showing up, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm kind of doing whatever it takes, because it's so hard to do this and to like promote yourself and basically like tell everyone about yourself in your songs, and then also try and promote them. Like, it's an endurance test, the music industry, and even what you're doing and what we're all doing. It's just about like sticking it out, and just continuing to show up. So 2024 was like a real game changer for me. I just started to get really good at like running my business, and I started to get recognition for that. And I kind of got like just amazing opportunities this year because the right people were sort of paying attention. And that led me to getting a showcase at the official Folk Music Canada conference in Toronto this year, which was really cool. And like, it all kind of started off with my recording with Ian Doherty of the band July Talk in February of last year. That was amazing. And we recorded 3 songs together, 2 of which are out, Feeling It Again and Crawl. And then the third one, To Heal, is going to be on my new album. And then like a few days after I recorded with Ian, I jet set off to New York for the first time, and I just went all by myself. I didn't know anybody there, and I just like wanted to just boots on the ground and just do some things there, and meet some people. And I ended up getting invited to the Marshall Amps sponsored party with this artist, Charlotte Day Wilson. She's Canadian. And that was really amazing because I was at this Marshall Amps party. It was like a endorsed private party that Marshall Amps put on, which was so cool. And then later into my trip, I ended up as a guest at the Tibet House Gala with Uma Thurman's family. Um, and like her brother, and it was just because I said yes to myself and like took a chance and walked myself into the right room at the right time. But you have to do that like every single chance you get. And that's what I did this year. And that's what my song Don't Say No is about as well. And so this year, I think I learned to not be afraid. And I think what keeps a lot of artists and myself as well in a past time from being successful and really going after things is fear. And that's like fear of failure and fear of being seen for being like too much or too cringy or weird or whatever people might call your art. But I've been called it all, and people have said these things to me many times, and online, here in the community, out in the world, wherever it might be. But I try not to worry about it anymore because those people aren't my people. And so this year, I really have started to find my people and to just put myself out there and not be afraid.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that's something everyone can definitely relate to at some point in their life or another.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, July Talk and Charlotte Day Wilson. I saw them both at Rifflandia in Victoria several years ago. So those are some amazing connections to have in the Canadian music scene for sure.
Oh,
They're amazing performers.
yeah, it's so great. I was hoping that you would like know. I wasn't sure if you would know Charlotte, but yeah, so we got to hang out that night. And like it was really cool. I like got invited to that because I ran into her tour manager just like walking in the street in Toronto, and this fan friend that comes to some of my shows was like, "Hey Madison, what are you doing? Like come on in and have a drink." And I was just walking on the street. I was like, "Okay, sure." So I went in and then they introduced me to their other friends. One of them happened to be Charlotte Day Wilson's tour manager.
Oh,
And then they said, "I have a +1 to this party in New York," because I told them I was going to New York. And they're
yeah.
like, "Why don't you come with me?" I was like, "Oh my God, of course." That's what happens though. That's like the energy of putting out those things and just being like really authentic and not being afraid to like say yes or whatever that might look like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people know Charlotte Day Wilson from Bad Bad Not Good rather than just her regular.
That's yeah, sorry, that's also he's also their tour manager for Bad
Okay.
Bad Not Good because they're on the same label.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So yeah, let's keep on moving here. You describe your style as like Joni Mitchell on steroids. So
Yeah,
who would
on
you
rock and roll steroids.
on
Joni
rock
Mitchell
and roll
on rock and roll
steroids?
steroids. Because
Okay.
Joni Mitchell is very like songwriter-esque,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so am I, but to like a rock and roll extent.
Okay, so the question would be, who are some of your other musical inspirations that have contributed to your style, I guess, on the rock and roll side then?
Yes. So like early 70s rock, definitely like Fleetwood Mac, like Stevie Nicks, Linda Ronstadt, Heart, The Guess Who, The Band, those kind of like classic rockers. There's one song that I have that's called Days Off. You might have listened to it. It's on my first album. That was like also directly inspired by The Faces, like early Rod Stewart. So I'm really into that kind of stuff. And I like to make music that just like, I don't know, reminds me of an older time because I long for that time that I didn't even know. And then also like 90s country rock, Sheryl Crow, Shania Twain, a little bit of Oasis, Green Day in there. I kind of I say that my music is genre fluid
Ah,
because I don't like to play within the barriers of what the music industry has set out and defined for us. I like to mix things up a lot. I also do like early 2000 stuff like Avril Lavigne, Michelle Branch, and then like newer stuff. Maggie Rogers is one that I'm directly inspired by. Haim, Lauren Ruth Ward, the 1975, Taylor Swift. Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, you're talking to a guy who has Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd tattoos on the back of his legs, so I understand the 70s rock there.
So it's
And
kind of like 70s rock meets like this newer alternative pop, I suppose.
Right on. Yeah. And I agree. Like the music industry has set out their boundaries, but I feel like a lot of people, all the music I listen to personally these days is more genre blending than ever. And when we were listening to your music, there was one that had a very reggae beat to
Oh
it.
yeah, in the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I always say when I'm performing live, that song I always say it's a very niche genre. It's rock and roll reggae breakup.
Slightly Stupid is one of my favorite bands of all time, if you know who that is.
I've heard of them for sure.
Yeah, I love that whole Cali and indie reggae scene down there. That's like my one of my favorite scenes I follow the most closely. So yeah, I love that. You obviously perform a lot of live shows, a lot of shows around the Rocky Mountains. So what do you love most about performing live?
Yes, I perform a lot. That's like my bread and butter. And I've been performing since I was 12. Like even younger in piano recitals. So it's just like feels really natural to me and performing around, like I said, campfire with my family, like it's just it's like getting into that flow state is what I love so much. And it's kind of meditative. It's like time sort of stops when I'm on stage. And I just love playing music and singing. It feels really natural. It's the thing that I'm literally the best at. So, of course, why wouldn't I go for it 100%? I'm also a musical theater kid. So, I love creating very moving and full theatrical performances on stage. And I also love stage design and crafting my stage. Like, I like to bring my entire living room on stage and create like a lived in world. And then, of course, fan interaction. Like I love connecting with people on stage and after merch, talking about music and like receiving support from audiences just gives me life.
Yeah, no doubt. It's funny you say you bring the living room into your stage. One of my favorite setups I've ever seen on stage is, Classified, the Maritimes rapper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he did a retrospective album where he made all of his most popular songs into acoustic versions and
Oh
toured.
yes, I think he brought that here to Key City actually.
Yeah, he did, and he toured all across Canada. And how he set up his stage was like his living room in the 1980s. So it had the old Chesterfield, the old lamp, and everything. And he sat there, and his whole band drank out of red Solo cups, and they talked to you like they were just sitting jamming in the living room.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm
that's one
sad
of
I
my
missed
favorite
that
shows.
show. I'm sad I missed that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so good. That whole album is amazing. Just taking all of his hip hop songs and like slowing them down and doing the acoustic
He's
version.
really cool. He's doing some cool things. I've like connected adjacent with him in different ways, but like, yeah, I gotta see if we can reconnect somehow and get out to a show.
Yeah, he's kept it in, but he just toured through the Welcome to the Maritimes tour across Canada as well, just a couple months ago. And yeah, he's always keeping it innovative to stay relevant there. His new album was like about like you can see how he grew over the years, and his whole new album is like being like in his middle ages now and being a dad and everything. Uh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
it's called Luke Hugh. It's a really great album. So yeah, let's keep on moving here. The next question. So you've obviously worked with a lot of amazing performers over the years, and I saw a video last year of one of my favorites, who is Kim Churchill from Australia. Kim Churchill actually recorded part of his Silence Wind album at a studio in Vancouver Island, where I used to host a radio show out of on Yuki Radio near Tofino.
Yeah, he loves to perform in Canada and he's awesome. That was a great night.
Yeah, well, he loves the island because he can surf out there, and he also seems to have as many shows in Quebec as he does the rest of Canada because he loves the river surfing out there. So
Yep.
yeah, he's pretty crazy. He was on his second tour of Canada when I met him, and he was only 19 years old the first time I met him.
My gosh.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
he's been doing it and now like he's getting the recognition that he deserves in Canada and all over the world.
yeah. So other than him, like, who are some of your other favorite musicians you've worked with, and who are some musicians or bands you dream of sharing the stage with?
Yes, I've done shows with so many lovely artists around here. Denise Marie, Anna Katerina, I mentioned them already, but Sarah Orton, Half Spent, Emma Cade, Paris Pick, to name a few. I've also played with some amazing artists like across the country, and I know that you're going to probably ask me about that too. But I have a super strong artist community in Toronto as well. So yeah, I've worked with like a lot of the female artists around here because we kind of, we sort of stick together and like rise each other up. So definitely some of them. And then a dream artist for sure would be Maggie Rogers. but also Lauren Ruth Ward. She and I met earlier in Los Angeles when I did my Home is Where the Music Is album there. We got to meet, and then we hung out again when she was in Vancouver, and I almost opened for her show, but I had a show the same night. So that one's like gonna happen. That one's definitely gonna happen. And then also Brandy Carlisle, Taylor Swift, and Stevie Nicks.
That's a pretty good list there. You already mentioned some Western Canadian performers and locals there, but is there anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to? Anybody from just somebody you've seen get up at a jam night or an open mic or a band that's maybe not up your alley in your exact genre that you love around the region that you'd love to see covered by Rocky Mountain Live and get more recognition around the area?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, like there's a few around here, like in this area, and also in Alberta too. Cass Jade is a friend of mine from Calgary, and she's just starting out with her music and is going to be releasing some things soon. So she should get covered. Jaden Phillips is another one. And then there's some other artists that are across Canada. My good friend and fellow musician Bobby Dove, who's actually performing in Fernie and is doing some Western tours. That's someone that deserves like all the recognition. And we're doing a show coming up in February in Montreal as well. And then Elise Aaron, Braden Lamb, Madeline Reed. Um, so no, there's so many that I have on here, and I'm half spent as well. Someone that you should definitely put up on the page. Heather Gemmel, another artist from Kimberly. Charity Standing Orders are a young band that's starting out in Cranbrook, and they should definitely be put on the platform as well. But there's so many of us, and I love us all. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I started the platform here is that there's just always more musicians around than you even realize.
Yes. And that's why we need places like you for doing this, because people need to be like reminded sometimes, and sometimes 10 times.
Yeah, exactly. One other thing I love when I was looking up all your content is you have a lot of really great music videos available on YouTube that everyone should go check out. What's your favorite part of shooting the music videos? Because you also have great presence in them in addition to your stage presence.
Well, thank you. Yes, that's great when people recognize the videos because they are so much work. And yeah, I'm really into acting and like being, having presence and again, creating like a brand and creating like a world for my art. So music videos are just an opportunity to kind of to authentically showcase myself, my music, my movements, who I am, like my essence and like my branding and my style. Like my style, it gets to really come out. I also love like acting, right? And like being cheesy and doing all of that stuff. Like I really enjoy that. And I guess also one of my favorite parts is getting to be in really beautiful and unique locations filming. So I got to film my last, well, not my last one, but my music video for my album running in a Soyuz in the desert there. And a lot of that area is actually burnt now, which is really sad. Like some of the places that I was are just gone now. And that was really special. That was the music video that had the snake, the rattlesnake in it. And that was also so cool. So just like doing things that are really out there for your art.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you told me before we got on and started recording here about some of your other music projects that you have on the go. So why don't you tell the audience about that?
Yes, that's right. So on the side, when I'm not being a rock star, I also teach music and teach like confidence lessons and music therapy to children and to everyone who is interested. I do like alternative music lessons for special education students. And right now I'm working on sending a proposal to the school district number 5 to hopefully start coming in and doing some alternative music therapy kind of sessions, freelance sessions with the students in the schools here. So I think that'd be really cool. I love to connect with people, and I know that my music is really special, and like people feel that when you put that out there. And I think it's also my job to utilize some of those skills and some of those people skills that I have. I am like I'm really good with children. I don't have children. I don't know if I will, but I really love working with them, and I just see how powerful it is for them to play music and to hear music. It's confidence building. It helps them find themselves, and that's how I was when I was a kid. So I want to put that back out just as much as I want to rock and roll.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you're obviously an amazing asset to the music community in Cranbrook and the Rocky Mountains. I really appreciate your time today. As I said in the beginning, you've been a really great supporter of Rocky Mountain Live before we've even fully launched here. Event listings go live on February 1st. And why do you think it is an important project and other musicians, bands, venues, and music resource businesses should participate by creating their profiles and listing their events?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for doing this. I think, like I said, people need to be reminded sometimes that music is really important. And like, I don't know what we would do without it in our worlds. So people not only need to support A-list artists and acts, but they also need to support their local musicians who are trying to be those new A-list acts or who are just trying to like bring people together and form a community. So you guys help to give us a platform to showcase our importance and to showcase all of the really cool stuff that we're doing. So that's so great because it's hard for us to like sometimes even for people to self-promote, and that's okay. Like it is hard. So it's great when someone else advocates for us and shows to the public like how important our music and arts truly are. So, like I said, just like keep showing up and getting out in the people's faces. I'm like so here for it, and all of the other artists definitely will be as well once you get things going and you fully launch this. So, yeah, I can't wait to continue working together.
Perfect. Well, everybody, you can check out your Rocky Mountain Live profile, which looks amazing right now, and get all your links up there. So, what are the next shows you have upcoming in February and March?
Yes, yes. Thanks so much. My next show is kind of a local one. It's in Trail. So Trail BC at the Charles Bailey Theater. It's a part of my Columbia Basin funded tour that I'm doing. It's called the Home Tour. So that's February 14th in Trail. You can get tickets now. And then also I'm performing in Montreal at the Folk International Conference, which is amazing. And then Bobby Dove and I have a show. And then I'm in Toronto for a little bit. And then I'm going to release my new album and tour all over the entire country for the rest of forever.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, well done. I appreciate your time today. So, thank you. And I hope everyone gets to see a show with you pretty soon here.
Me too. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on.